So in this next part, we're going to use Metabase, which is our BI tool for taking the data that we just managed in standard data. We aligned a couple things. We created a zip code to county merge file. We're going to take that, we're going to join that with actual case data at the county level, which is going to allow us to search by zip, which will tell us the county data that we can then build a risk assessment tool. We're going to do all that in the next probably 5 to 7 minutes. So let's see if I can do it that quickly. So let's start by picking our data. This is our county to zip merge file. Remember that? We created that just a few minutes ago. And let's preview that. I always like to preview to make sure I'm looking at the right data. Voila, zip, population, population density, FIPS code, which is our unique identifier per county. It's not ours, actually, it's a standard. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to join that with actual case data that we pull in every night at the county level. And that's in a table that's called the county's new table. And in Metabase, we're doing this in as a custom question. And that's going to ask us, what are we going to join this on? How are we going to connect these two tables? So we're going to use FIPS code from the zip merge file, and we're going to use county ID, which is how we call the FIPS code in our system. So let's preview that and make sure it works. Cool. All right. So these are the columns we just saw: FIPS, zip name, so on and so forth, and then all the actual case data per county that is pulled in every night. So if we want to assess the risk level, we need to do a real simple math equation, which takes the 7-day case average, you divide it by population, and you multiply it by 100,000. That gives you something called the 7-day case average per capita. It's a way of equalizing disparate population zones. So you don't want to compare, say, Wyoming, which is, I think, the smallest state, to California, which is the biggest state. You want to compare them by population and adjust for population. So that's what the per capita is doing. So to do that, so let's close that. We're going to do a custom column. Metabase allows you to do some simple arithmetic, some not so simple arithmetic as well. We're going to do simple arithmetic here in this custom column. It's a really nice feature, and if you're an Excel person, you're totally familiar with what we're about to do. But this allows us to do it here in the BI tool. So I'm going to pick, we're going to pick the 7-day average. Okay, so that's here, 7-day case average. And we're going to divide by the population, okay, which here, actually we're going to pick the county population. And we're going to make sure we're doing our order of operations correctly. Remember that from 5th grade, or whatever that was. And multiply by 100,000, okay? So this takes the 7-day case average, which we have in the counties table. We have the population also in the counties table, and we're going to multiply it by 100,000. And we're going to call this the risk level, okay? So now we're creating a new column called risk level, which is essentially doing this math problem for us. We're going to hit done. So now we have a custom column. We can preview that data and make sure it looks directionally correct. And we have this new column called risk level. So this tells us, remember that in the earlier video at the very beginning where we talked about the risk matrix from green to red? Well, this data looks pretty good in terms of what we're looking for. So now, okay, so now we've joined the two tables. We've created a custom column. Now we want to do some filtering. So let's filter by zip code. Let's do 30303, okay, which is, oops, let's do that again. Zip code 30303, okay. So now what we're doing, let's just add that filter and let's preview that, okay. So now we have the zip code, which allows us to search, and that connects us to the county, which is Fulton, which tells us the FIPS code, which allows us to figure out how many cases have been in Fulton County over the last 7 days, which tells us the risk level there is 29.51. Okay, so now we want to build a really pretty gauge. It's called a gauge in Metabase. And to do that, we've got to remove some columns. We don't need all the columns, so we're going to get rid of those. Okay, refresh this. Okay, now we've winnowed down the number of columns we have to work with. And let's click visualize, okay? So we're at the 5-minute mark. I think I can get this done in the next 2. Click visualize. Whoops, visualization. And I need to remove, actually, let's go back. Sorry. I need to remove these other columns because this is a Metabase quirk. You only want the risk level. Okay, we want risk level. Okay, so there's our number. There's our risk level. Now we can go back and do the gauge. Okay, so what we're going to create is a gauge. And if you recall, 0 to 1 is containment. And 1 to 10 is community spread. We're missing the orange, so we got to add that. Click orange, and that is 10 to 25. And then red is 25 to 50. Okay, so now we have a gauge that tells us if we are between 0 and 1, we're in the green zone, right? Which is good. If we're between 1 and 10, we're in the yellow zone, which is community spread, not great. 10 to 25, things are getting out of hand. And anything over 25, we need to do something about that. Again, all this data is designed to kind of paint a quick picture of what's happening in a specific zip code in real time or near real time. This data this is the actual risk level in Fulton County as of August 4th, 2021. So now we can take this in Metabase, we can publish this. Let's call this Fulton County risk assessment. Okay, I'm going to save that. And we can publish it. Okay, so we're going to get a URL, a dedicated URL, and I can go to it at any time. I can embed this in a website. I can share this via email. I can point people to it in Fulton County. They can come to this anytime, and the data in here will be refreshed every night by Standard Data. Thanks again for tuning in to our data series, Data is Awesome, but Managing Data Still Sucks. Hopefully you found it useful to understand how we use standard data to line data up, gather data from all these disparate data sources, and then provide that data back to stakeholders, the general public, whomever might actually need useful information to make timely decisions. Please like, subscribe, share, tell the world about standard data. And if you have any ideas for what you'd like to see in a future video on data and data standardization, drop me a line. We'll talk soon. Thanks so much.